Hi, my name is Grace, and this is my video for the Amazon Web Service Cloud Infrastructure proposal for BeatBeat Incorporated. So just to have like a brief introduction. So BeatBeat is a startup company, music industry that is trying to launch a cloud-based music mixer. And I'm gonna be recommending the Amazon Web Service as a cloud solution for this. I'll be making some recommendations as we go, which is gonna include the regions, the amount of data centers, availability zones, the edge locators, and so on what can make the business successful as they migrate to the cloud. So we're going to start with the recommended regions for BeatBeat. So I'm going to recommend three regions, which is the North American regions, the Europe regions, and the Asia Pacific regions. And I recommend these three regions because they have the most regions under them, and they are the regions that are the key markets for the digital products. Most importantly, entertainment and technical and technology. And Beatbag, which is the music mixer you want to deploy, falls under the entertainment aspect, which means these regions will be of a great advantage. So the first reason is the latency and performance. So the regions would ensure low latency for end users, improving their user experience while using the Beatbag. And another reason is the proximity to customers. So these regions cover a large range of regions, and the regions inside these three regions contain a large amount of availability zones, which means it covers a lot of potential customer base for Beat. So another reason is the availability and reliability. These regions have several availability zones, ensuring redundancy and reliability. Another reason is cost efficiency. So some of the regions under these three regions are cost effective, and for a startup company like BP, which is who's on a budget, this is a great advantage. It also provides global availability of services BP services to customers because these regions cover a broad base. So another reason is that how many data centers? Oh, sorry. Um, the next, we're going to cover the amount of data centers I'll be recommending per region. So per region, I'm going to be recommending about two data centers per region because of it offers redundancy and reliability. So the reason why I recommend this two, just like I've said before, number one, I'm going to say the fault tolerance. And this is because with two data centers, if one becomes unavailable due to outage or disaster or failure, the other can take over. And this is gonna result in like a minimal downtime. And going to the second reason, which is a minimal downtime, if these two data centers will ensure that if one data center experiences an outage due to hardware failure or natural disaster, the second data center can immediately pick up and take over. So, and this will also lead to the balancing of cost. For a startup company like BigBeat, which is always on a budget, the cost of deploying and maintaining a lot of data centers is going to be too overwhelming. So this kind of provide using two data centers provides a balance between redundancy and cost. And two data centers will also this makes management quite easier to manage two data centers is going to be a lot more better and simpler than managing a large amount of data centers. So, and this will also promote optimizing performance and user experience. Just like I've said, in terms of fault tolerance to user experience, users will have a better experience with our services. So, the next I'm gonna recommend the availability zones per region. So I'm gonna recommend about two availability zones per region. And my reason is because it's gonna be okay and sufficient for the current demand of BeatBeat. BeatBeat doesn't exactly have like a large user base because they're just a startup company. And two availability zones per regions is gonna be sufficient enough. And in terms of when the user base kind of increases, the AWS provides good features like feature scalability, which means that starting with if you start with two availability zones, you can increase the number of resources you deploy as you go. So if you want to increase your availability zones, you can do that. If you want to reduce them, you can do that. So you have that advantage when you use when you start with 2 data centers. And then the reduced risk. When you use availability zones are physically separated within a region. So using 2 availability zones kind of mitigates the risk associated with localized events that could impact a single availability zone, such as like power outage and natural disasters. And using 2 availability zones also provides like it's like a good disaster recovery plan, because in events of like a regional disruption, having resources in 2 availability zones kind of ensure that the Big Beat has a backup, enhancing disaster recovery and strategies. So moving on to the next, I'm going to say how many edge locators are needed. So to start with, are edge locators actually needed? So they actually are needed, because edge locators are used to catch out data and deliver content closer to the end user. So it kind of brings the services and what you want to deliver closer to the user so they can easily access it. This improves load time and reduces latency. And I'm going to recommend about 3 to 5 edge locators per region, which would amount to about 10 to 15 edge locators in total. So my reason for saying that they are necessary, it kind of improves the user experience mostly. It reduces latency. It reduces latency. It is critical for reducing latency because it is especially important for media with heavy applications like Big Banger. It could help low latency access to music and tools enhances user experiences. Fast content delivery is also another reason. Just like I said before, edge locators brings your content closer to the users. So this kind of enables the fast delivery of static images, static contents for images, music, and all, which improves the performance of the softwares. Another reason is the global access to resources. So if Big Banger is targeting users globally, if the Big Banger music mixer is going to be like targeting users globally, then the edge locator is a necessity, because because it ensures like a consistent and fast experience no matter where the users are accessing the service from. This also it also encourages edge users also encourage improved performance. The more edge locators you use in key regions, the closer the content is to the users. The next slide, we're going to be talking about the benefits the BP can receive from cloud computing and the Amazon Web Service. So the first is the on-demand scaling. So BP can scale its infrastructure up and down based on demand, especially useful during high traffic periods, such as project launching and promotions. So another advantage is the no maintenance cost. So in this way, you don't have to physically maintain a server or providing hardware upgrades and all, because everything is in the cloud. And then in terms of cost, there's the pay-as-you-go model that AWS provides, which is a pricing model where BP will only have to pay for the resources they use as they use them. So, and another advantage is the data encryption. So AWS provides like an encryption service for your data. That where maybe when they're being stored or maybe when they're on transit or being transferred, they're going to be secured. They also provide the identity and then the access management, which means that users cannot access data that they have not been authorized to access, which means your data is going to be safe. And AWS is also compliant with international security compliance standards, which is very essential for companies and global users like BPEAT. Global user data like BPEAT, I mean. And the aspect of disaster recovery, AWS offers services like S3 and the RDS, which with automated backups and snapshots, which ensures that BP's data can be quickly recovered in case of a failure. Just like I said before, the global outreach is also a great advantage. AWS operates in a lot of regions around the world. So this allows BP to deploy its services closer to its customers and reduce latency. Moving on to the next slide, we're going to discuss some tools, some AWS tools that you can be used to manage your day-to-day operations like networking, virtualization, virtual servers, and remote workers. So for the networking, AWS provides, I recommend the Amazon VPC, which is a virtual private cloud. This allows BP to create like logically isolates to create logically isolated networks within AWS cloud. It can define its IP address range, create subnets, and configure routing tables and network gateways. So for the virtualization, Amazon provides the Elastic Compute Cloud, which is the EC2, which provides scalable and virtual services or instances for running applications. BP can choose, different instances and times based on the workload and equipment. So for the virtual servers, I recommend the Amazon RDS, which is the Relational Database Service, Relational Database Service, sorry, because it simplifies the setup, the operation and scaling of a relational database in the cloud. It supports several database engines like MySQL, PostgreSQL, and so on. And in the advent of maybe having remote workers, I recommend the AWS VPN because which is the virtual private network service, because it allows remote users to securely connect to BP's VPC, which is a virtual private cloud, by creating an encryption tunnel over the internet for secure access to resources. So I'm going to mention some other AWS management tools which I recommend, which to help you manage the infrastructure, to help BitBeat manage their infrastructure more easily and without that much of stress. So AWS CloudFormation. This is going to be good for automating the process of resource provisioning instead of having to do it manually. The AWS CloudWatch. This is going to be used for monitoring applications performance and system health, so the system can always be up to task. So AWS CloudTrails, this ensures the security with detailed logging and tracking of user activities. So this kind of keeps tracks of what users do. It's like an auditing system kind of. AWS Trusted Advice. So this optimizes security, performance, and cost. AWS Cost Explorer. This is for tracking and managing cloud costs. And in the case of BP, which is a startup company and is on a budget, this is going to be very useful for managing their cost. So what would next is to talk about the value. What's the value proposition for cost and security for BitBeat? So when we're talking about cost and security value proposition, we're talking about their the advantage. So starting with the cost advantage, we mentioned some before, but I just want to focus on the main ones, which is the pay-as-you-go model. So this is like the payment model. The advantage here is that BitBeat doesn't have to pay for resources they don't use. They only pay for the resources as they use them. And another thing is scalability. Easy scalability, which means that they can easily scale resources up and down to match the demand regarding which reduces over provisioning or costs, thereby also saving cost. They can also save costs by reducing, you can reduce the cost by pre-booking resources with AWS reserved instances or savings plans, which offers lower rates for long-term usage. It's also some of the cost advantage that the Amazon Web Service, kind of provides. And then we have this security advantages. Moving to security advantages, I mentioned some before. It provides encryption for data, whether when they are being transferred or when they are being stored, they are always going to be secured and encrypted. And compliance, AWS meets global compliance standards, which is very good for organizations because providing a compliant and secure platform for BitBeat to operate on. Threat protection. AWS Shield and WAF in WAF protects against DOS and web application attacks like cyber attacks and all. So you can AWS provides services that prevent those kind of attacks. So data recovery, multi-region support ensures high availability and quick recovery in case of failure. So these are some of the activities. I also want to add that the IAM, which is the Identity and Access Management, this kind of, just like I've said before, restricts unauthorized access from users. Even on the resources or groups that they are not authorized to access, they can't have access to it. So just in conclusion, AWS offers an affordable, secure, and flexible solution for BigBeat's cloud needs. So I recommend using AWS for the launch of Beat Banger, which is the upcoming mixer, to ensure that smooth operation and strong security. Thank you very much.